Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we have a colossal video for you guys. I've spent the last 2 hours putting this together and then I have to put everything away. So I hope you guys really appreciate this. It is a lot of effort, but you know what? I wanted to do a video on this is not a top 10 tobacco because it's becoming the tobacco season for me. Tobacco is one of my favorite notes in perfumery. It's November 12th. As I'm filming this video, and finally, just yesterday, it really started to feel like fall. We haven't had very many cold nights. You can see I'm finally wearing a sweatshirt, and you know, it's going to be, it actually got down right about freezing yesterday, and so in Texas, we can finally pull out the tobaccos, the heavy leathers, the big ouds, the boozy fragrances. You know, it's that time of season. So this is going to be a top 85 tobacco fragrances. And first of all, I'm going to go quickly because otherwise this will be an 80-hour video if I don't. So I'm going to just touch on really quick high level and then we're going to move on. Number 2, I left out tobacco flowers. So I didn't include stuff like the Dreamer, for example, which isn't tobacco to me. It's more like tobacco flowers, right? Which I think have a completely different smell profile. So this is going to be focusing on tobacco, Nicotiana tabacum, okay, which has this rich, warm, sometimes people will say it's slightly floral, sometimes people will say it is hay-like. Usually we're not talking about, you know, these smoky cigarette-like smells. There are some, there's 1 or 2 in here that have a smoky tobacco vibe to them. But most of the time, it's either going to focus on this green tobacco before it's, you know, ripe, or it's going to focus on a very fine tobacco. And those are actually my favorite. Usually, when you hear me talk about, you know, sweetness in perfume, I'm usually anti-sweetness. I feel like sweetness can come across very juvenile. However, when it comes to the note of tobacco in cold weather fragrances, you will see there is a lot of fragrances in this list that have some sort of sweetness to them. And that's twofold. Number 1, it's a very enveloping and comforting feeling when it's cold outside to wear something that's warm. Feels like you're being given a big hug, you know, or putting on an old sweater that fits you perfectly, right? The other thing is there's a note that blends with tobacco. Almost every single time you see tobacco, you see this note, and that's tonka. Okay, tobacco and tonka go hand in hand. They both give off this hay-like profile. In fact, it's a top 85 with 1 honorary mention. The reason is there's this honorary mention, there's no note of tobacco listed in this perfume, but you would never know it by the way it smells. It smells like you're getting a beautiful tobacco, and that's because she had used the note of hay, okay? So tobacco can sometimes give off this dry hay. You know, think about the colors of fall. Think about the colors of the leaves changing, which is just happening now in Texas. I'm sure it happened a month or 2 ago in the Northeast and in cooler weather places. But for us, the leaves are just kind of turning orange, yellow, falling off the trees, that kind of thing. And so the honorary mention, and every other fragrance in this list has a tobacco note as far as I'm concerned. This one does not, but it's actually called Tobacco Rose from the house of Papillion. This is a brilliant fragrance, genius fragrance. I did an interview with Liz Moores. Please check that out if you have not watched it. She is an amazing interview, and she's an amazing creator. You know, her sense, I think everything in her line is top-notch. But this has to make an honorary mention because even though there's no tobacco in this, you're going to get a beautiful tobacco accord. And the rose note in this is stunning. One of the best rose notes I think I've ever smelled outside of something, you know, like an Amouage or something like that. The rose note in this is unbelievably good, mind-blowingly good. One of the, you know, when I smell the real rose Otto that Russian Adam sent to me, and then I smell stuff like this, I'm like, wow, how in the world did you get it so close? And yet, it's a fragrance that develops and evolves and does other things. This is 100% full bottle worthy. I don't know if I'm going to get a bottle, but everything in her line is full bottle worthy. So that's the honorary mention. All right, let me put this to the side so I don't lose it. Okay, here, we'll put you down here. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, let's do scent of the day, as is honorary at Channel Ramsey. And today, scent of the day is Amouage Imitation Man. And look at the dent I put in this bottle. If this gives you any indication of how much I love this fragrance, that is a hell of a dent for my collection. And the thing about this is, as soon as I smelled Eugene's perfume La Dernière Exquise, I said that it reminded me of this. Everyone else was saying, you know, Portrait of a Lady by Frederic Malle. I said Imitation Man. And the reason is there's this mixture of rose with iris. This is kind of a dirty iris, a rooty, dirty iris with leather and resins. There's myrrh and stuff like that. There is patchouli in here, so it is a rose patchouli. But the real kicker, the thing that really made me, you know, be reminded of each other is the castoreum. And the castoreum in here is very close to the castoreum that you'll smell in Eugene's fragrance. But to be honest, I think the castoreum in Eugene's fragrance is better. And I actually think that the fragrance itself is better, believe it or not. Many times, like for example, if you hear me talk about some other fragrance like Eau Noire by Dior, which I unbelievably left off of the Dior countdown. I only had a little tiny sample. I put it in there after the video as like an honorable mention. But I'll often say I don't own a bottle of Eau Noire because I think Sunshine Man is a better version of Eau Noire. Well, for me, Eugene's Les Abstraits La Dernière Exquise is a better version of Imitation Man. Now, this is still amazing, though. This also has this vinyl-like note. And interestingly enough, Antoine Lee, who also created some perfumes for a brand that do their fragrance samples almost like they look like records. If you've ever seen them, they're called Juice Box, and they come in this record-looking, you know, sample. And it's all based on music and stuff like that. But Antoine Lee did a fragrance for them, and there actually is a vinyl note in there. So interestingly enough, I get this vinyl note from this because this was supposed to represent Christopher Chong. God, we miss you at Amouage, Christopher Chong. I know you just took over the in-house perfumer of a different house, but, you know, I think Amouage really misses Christopher Chong. And, you know, there's this vinyl feel in here. And the vinyl feel, I think, is supposed to remind you of Christopher Chong's childhood in New York City in the 1970s. And there's a little bit of a vinyl feel in La Dernière Exquise. And the thing about this is it's beast mode, though. I've had this on. I could smell it for 10 hours today on this hand. 10 hours. It's going strong. I just did a fresh spray about an hour ago just because I like to reapply. But, man, this is good stuff. So that's my scent of the day. All right, let's get started on this list. I bet you this will be an hour-and-a-half video, so go ahead and buckle in. First of all, number 85, okay? Number 85 is a fragrance that is at the bottom of the list for one reason and one reason only. It is extremely sweet, almost gourmand sweet. It has this Manuka honey accord that is just very hard for me to wear. People around me love it. I just have a hard time wearing it. It's called 1821 Man-Made Sweet Tobacco Spirits. How's that for a name? And this got a little bit of hype 5 or 6 years ago in FragCom, however long ago it was. This brand, interestingly enough, is actually made in my neck of the woods. If you take a look, you'll see right here it says Bedford, Texas. Right there. And that is, I mean, driving distance for me. 30 minutes in the car, I could be at Bedford. So yes, it is. It's right around the corner, but I struggle with this because it does have an interesting wine note. So it's wine and honey and tobacco and lots of sweet vanilla and plum, but there's a better wine tobacco coming up much higher on the list that I like much more. So number 85, sweet tobacco spirits. Number 84 is going to be from the house of English Laundry. And sorry, I got stuff on the floor. There's so much stuff, I can't even keep it on the desk. But this is called Windsor Pour Homme. And this is a cheapie. This is like, I don't know, 30 bucks at discounters or something, but it's kind of a cool little deal for a cheapie, right? If you're familiar with fragrances like Spice Bomb Extreme, which is higher on the list than this, you'll kind of get an idea of where this falls. It's very warming, you know, except there's lavender in this as well. And there's also oud. So it's oud and leather and tobacco and tonka, and it's ambery and cinnamony, lots of cinnamon. And so I think for 30 bucks, it's a good fragrance, but I don't reach for it very often just because I have, you know, a bounty of fragrances to choose from. But if you're kind of a college kid and maybe you just want a great everyday wear for the winter, check out Windsor Pour Homme. Okay, next on the list, we have number 83. And number 83 is actually a 10 ml decant that I have. I haven't talked much on the channel about this yet because it's not really, you know, it is a discontinued fragrance, but it's not really my thing. But I will talk about it. You know, one thing that I wanted to do when I created this channel is I wanted to go everywhere. I wanted to go all over the fragrance world. I didn't want anything to stop me, or I didn't want any barriers up where I won't look at this or that. You know, I'll talk about the cheapies, the designers, the niche, the indie, the artisanal, I'll go everywhere in the fragrance world. And this is a 1 million fragrance. And so at number 83, it is 1 million Privé. Now, this is discontinued and getting harder to find. Prices are really starting to go up. And came out in 2016. It has that same kind of red mandarin orange thing 1 million is known for. And cinnamon, but here they add this shisha tobacco and myrrh with tonka bean absolute and patchouli, and it's actually outside of Sacre Tabac Sucre, which is from the house of Matriarch. It's the only fragrance I've ever seen that uses this shisha tobacco note, and so it's interesting. It's for a designer, I mean, it's not bad. It just has that. What can I say? It has that sweetness, you know? It has that overriding sweetness that kind of, that puts me off a little bit. It's very juvenile. This would be great for a man in college or in their 20s, you know? Okay, next on the list, we've got number 82. And you guys might be shocked this is so low, but I'm actually not the biggest fan of this fragrance. Number 82, this is from the house of Azzaro, and it's called Wanted by Night. So this got a lot of hype a couple years ago in the Revolver Chamber bottle. How classy. Cinnamon, mandarin orange, Virginia cedar, frankincense, cumin, tobacco absolute, cypress, and cedarwood. And it just comes across as very undefined, very cheap, very synthetic. You know, it's maybe for someone just starting their fragrance journey. If they've never smelled anything like this, they might smell this and think, wow, this is, you know, just stunning and amazing. But once you've smelled, you know, once you've got your nose on hundreds of fragrances, this is something that may be hard for you to wear. Again, the people, around you will really like it. But this may be hard for a frag head to wear and not get bored of. So that's why it's where it's at number 82. Number 81 is a sample. And it's a sample that from a house that I actually have not talked about. I haven't done any individual videos, but they have shown up on lists before because I've had a chance to spray them and smell them. And this one's not bad. This could jump up on my list as I continue to get to know it. But it's from a brand called Mar Olfactif. Here's kind of what the little box of samples that looks like. Mar Olfactif. There's the logo. And it's called Sagen Dahlia. Sagen Dahlia. So this comes in at number 81. And this is actually an interesting fragrance. Again, it definitely could jump up on the list. It does have some beeswax absolute mixed with tobacco, but it's not too sweet, even with the beeswax, and I like that. There's some damascones in the top with Taguette absolute and a very labdanum and cypriol base. And cypriol actually goes really well with tobacco. There's a Cypriol tobacco fragrance that's very high on my list that I really like, but I'm a Cypriol lover. So Saigon Dahlia at number 81. Number 80. Number 80 is probably one of the, again, if you're a college kid and you want a huge amount of juice for a cheap price, you don't want to spend that much money on a fragrance, but you want to get a huge amount of juice at discounters, this could be one of the best dollar bang for your bucks out there if you're looking for this type of fragrance. This is a 200 ml bottle, okay? And I think you can get this at discounters for under $20. This is Calvin Klein's CK1 Shock. All right, now I don't think they should have called it CK1 because while it's technically a flanker of CK1, it doesn't have anything to do with CK1, to be honest with you. It's sweet, spicy. It's a very interesting fragrance, actually. It was created by a perfumer called Look Dong from IFF, and I don't really know very much of his work, but it's lavender, clementine, cucumber, cardamom, black basil, black pepper, ambrine, cashmeran, patchouli, tobacco, and white musk. But just kind of a pick up and spray when it's dead cold. For someone in their 20s, this would be something that I think you would smell different from everyone else that was wearing whatever the other crap the guys in their 20s wear nowadays. You know, Eros and all that stuff I hate. Okay, next on the list, number 79 is another decant. And this is from the house of Mancera. And I will do a video on this one day. This is a beast mode tobacco fragrance, I'll tell you that. It's called Mancera's Red Tobacco. And red tobacco, red tobacco feels kind of like a painting that's unfinished, you know, like you can almost sniff the aroma chemicals in this fragrance. It is so loud and so strong. There is a very interesting fruity touch to it. So big saffron, you know, think of the color red. I think that's where they got the red from. Saffron with lots of cinnamon and fruitiness from white peach and green apple. But it's like this oud, tobacco, vanilla combo is basically what it ends up smelling like. But it's very, very strong. And if you want your fragrances to be beast mode, if you don't really care if they smell, you know, natural, if you don't care about transitions, if you don't care about a fragrance telling you a journey, right? You just want something that lasts 20 hours and everyone in the entire building can smell you. Red tobacco might be your fragrance. So red tobacco comes in at number 79. Number 78 is the only bottle that I have from this brand, and it's a brand that's called Amouage. And the Perfumers Workshop makes these Amouage fragrances, and this one's called Oud Tabac. So Oud Tabac comes in at number 78. You can buy these 100 ml bottles for about $100. That's about what you can find them at for discounters. I think maybe they go for $150 retail. I'm not sure, but it is woody, spicy. It's got a very interesting saffron, oud, heliotrope with a beautiful pipe tobacco. To be fair, there is a really nice pipe tobacco note in here. And the reason I bought this is, you know, if you're someone that's ever said, man, I really wish Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille has frankincense, this could be a fragrance for you to sniff. However, looking back now, I wish I just would have bought Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille, because that's really what I want. I like that more. It's higher on the list. I do have a decant, but I don't have a full bottle of Tobacco Vanille. But I hear the new bottles of Tobacco Vanille are a little light on performance, and they've been reformulated. And big news is, speaking of Tom Ford, is that Estee Lauder is in talks to buy the entire company of Tom Ford. I know they've been distributing their fragrances, but they're going to buy them for about $2.8 billion is the rumor. That news broke just yesterday. So that's huge news. That'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Okay, number 77. Number 77 is going to be a John Varvatos fragrance, and it's currently being marketed by Revlon. This bottle was back when EA, Elizabeth Arden, owned the company. but they did go through bankruptcy, and when they went through bankruptcy, you could get these for very cheap, and that's when I got my John Varvatos fragrances. I think I paid like 25 bucks for this or something, for 125 mil. And this is called Vintage. John Varvatos Vintage. Okay, so Vintage is basically this suede-like tobacco. They say spicy and leathery, but I get lots of suede. Suede, tobacco, patchouli, but there's something in the top that bothers me with this fragrance for whatever reason. I'm not sure what it is. There is a Santolina note that I'm not very familiar with. And there is some fir balsams, and there's some tiny green touches, but it's not my favorite, I must admit. It's good, but it's not my favorite, so that's why it's here. It could be higher. That one has room for growth as well, but we'll see how it plays out. Number 76 is a decant as well, and it's the other tobacco from the house of Mar Olfactif. And number 76 is going to be Treachery. So I like this one a little bit better than the first one because Treachery uses this amazing pipe tobacco, and it mixes it with cacao and whiskey, almonds, davana, saffron. There's a berry note for some contrast, and there's a little bit of vanilla absolute, but it doesn't seem too sweet. So I'm a fan. I like this one. I'll do an early impression video soon. I'll wear this as my scent of the day one day and talk about it and stuff like that. So Treachery comes in at number 76. Number 75 is an Initio fragrance, and it's probably Initio's best scent, although I don't like Initio, the sister house of Parfum de Marly. But this one's not bad. Someone sent me this, and I think it was D.L. Qualia, who I bought my Roja right here from. You know, the Parfums de la Nuit number 3. And he sent me a sample of this. This is called Side Effect. So I'll do a video on Side Effect very soon. Apparently it's big in the community. I don't think I could ever buy an Initio fragrance. Even if I liked it, I don't think I could buy it just out of the fact that I don't like the house. I don't like the marketing. I don't like the backstories. I don't like the price per mil is insane. It's so insanely overpriced to me. However, when I wore this to bed, when I did one spray on my wrist before bed, I must admit that I did enjoy it. It's this tobacco-y, cinnamon-y, vanilla-y, rummy thing. You know, there's some liquor, some tobacco, there's some sandalwood, and it smells like there's a ton of synthetics that make this thing really push. But for the cold, it's not bad. I don't necessarily mind Side Effect. Okay, next on the list is a vintage fragrance from 1985. And while I do like this, I must admit, it's not my favorite tobacco scent. And the reason is that it's a very herbal, fresh take on a tobacco. In fact, if I wanted to wear a tobacco in the summer, this is something I would reach for. This is like one of those summer tobaccos. If you like stuff like Tabak, for example, from Maurer & Wertz, you might like this. This is called Open. And by the way, Tabak by Maurer & Wertz did not make this list because there's no tobacco note listed in it, believe it or not. But, so Open is, like I said, apparently discontinued too, by the way. But Open is this Amalfi lemon, bergamot, lavender, sage, thyme. So it's herbal with patchouli, tobacco, and vetiver. But it comes across as very fresh. And there's a couple on this list that I'm going to show you. When we get to it, I'll tell you. They're very fresh tobaccos. And those fresh tobaccos are great to wear, you know, in spring or fall or even summer. I mean, this would be a great just everyday wear. Because it has so much citruses and lavender and stuff like that to offset the tobacco. But Roger and Gallet, Open. All right, we're going to have to pick this up or we really will be here at 80 hours. So next on the list is number 73. And number 73 is this little bad boy, Roja's Apex. So again, this was sent to me by D.L. Qualia. I do not own a bottle of Apex. but I will wear it, talk about it. You know, I don't mind it. Again, I've worn it, I've sprayed it, I've worn it to bed once, and it's not bad. I like it. I don't think I would buy a bottle, but I do enjoy it. It does have this vintage feel to it, you know, and it's got that, it feels like bits and pieces of many other fragrances. Like there's some pineapple, there's some cistus labdanum, which Rosia loves cistus labdanum. But just because you hear pineapple, don't think Aventus. This is nothing like Aventus. This goes its own way. You know, it's got maybe a little bit of Halston Z14 in it, with some rum and tobacco and cypress, which I think is an underused note. There's leather. Apparently there's ambergris. I don't know if it's real ambergris or not. And there's galbanum, and it's kind of green, and it feels like maybe there's even a pine note that's there that's not listed. It's that kind of feel. I like it. I did like Apex. Again, I don't think I'd buy a bottle, but I will do a video on it one day soon. And then number 72 is Open Black by Roger & Gallet. So just an interesting little side note. This was a flanker that came out in 2000, and I want to say like within the last decade it came out. I don't know exactly when. I think it was 2012 or 13 or something. But what a ballsy release. Yeah, I think it was like 2012 or 2013. And this just takes that open DNA and it amps it up. It even doubles down on it. So it's a little bit heavier. You know, if you like some of the old school fragrances from the 70s and 80s, the old masculines that I love, you very well may like this. It's very good. And I can't believe this is a modern release. I mean, what a ballsy release this is. Very good perfume. So I'll do a full review on this one day soon. But Open Black comes in at number 72. Number 71 is a Bois 1920s fragrance, interestingly enough. And this is a fragrance that has 2 ingredients in the name, none of which are tobacco, and yet it has a beautiful tobacco note in it. And the name is Vetiver Ambrato. Okay? And you can see, look at the color of that juice. Beautiful, golden amber. And it is vetiver. It is amber. It has a little bit of a Shalimar-like tint to it, okay? But it also has some green artemisia, spicy clove, comforting benzoin, and this beautiful tobacco in the base with green galbanum. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful scent. This is a very underrated scent. And but the tobacco in the base, you will notice it blends with the vanilla beautifully. This is a lovely scent. Enzo Galladari made this, and that's a sleeper. All right, excuse me whilst I hydrate. Okay. Number 70, 15 down. Number 70 is another fragrance I bought because it's supposed to be a little bit like Tobacco Vanille, when honestly I should have saved my money on this in Oud Tabac and just bought Tobacco Vanille, but you live and you learn. Number 70 is Frank Bachlitz's Tobacco. Now, it's not that this is a bad fragrance, just like it's not that, you know, Oud Tabac by Amer Oud is a bad fragrance. It's just that what I really wanted was Tobacco Vanille, and I should have just bought it. This adds this plum note to the bunch, and apparently it's also close to a fragrance that I do want, but I want a vintage bottle and I can't find it. It's called Tabac Rouge by Phaidon, and I think the old bottles of Phaidon were called Turkish Blend for like a year or two, and then they went to Tabac Rouge. So I'd love a vintage bottle that said Turkish Blend, or, you know, the early bottles of Tabac Rouge. But I don't own a bottle of that stuff. But this is apparently very similar. It's tobacco, plum, clove, tonka, cedarwood, ginger, vetiver, benzoin, and vanilla. And it is close to Tobacco Vanille, but whereas Tobacco Vanille focuses on those dried fruits more, this really feels like a fresh plum. So it takes it in a different direction. And the ingredients don't smell as high quality as the Tom Ford, but what do you expect? I said I was going to go fast, and I'm not. But this will just be a long video, I guess. That's just my style. I just can't I can't just go, Oud Palau, you know, Herrera Fermin, Xerjoff. I just can't go. I have to talk about them, I feel like. All right, number 69 is Oud Palau. And I do have a 10 ml decant. And yes, it is a rose and oud. But it's also a tobacco. And there's a beautiful tobacco note in this that's kind of hidden. It's like this rose, oud, tobacco, vanilla, sandalwood, incense, cistus labdanum, nagamatha oil, patchouli. There's a lot going on. And for just a, you know, for a fragrance that you can find for, I don't know, $110 at discounters maybe, this is an amazing oud. But search for that tobacco note. It's there. I think you'll find it. Okay, number 68 is another John Varvatos fragrance. And this time it is Dark Rebel. So this is a bottle I bought off a friend. They gave me a very fair price, so I couldn't say no. I do have a 10 ml Discovery Atomizer as well. And this is a really good fragrance. The problem is it doesn't last very long. So, I mean, you literally have to hit yourself every 3 or 4 hours while you're wearing it. But if you don't care and you can just spray away, which when you have a big collection, go ahead. You can't take all this stuff with you. Enjoy it, right? This is rum, sugarcane, clary sage, divana, cardamom, snapdragon, nutmeg, black pepper, black leather, styrax absolute, fir balsam, akigala wood, balsa wood, castoreum, Mexican vanilla, tobacco leaf, Canary Islands juniper. And the tobacco leaf in the base is beautiful, but it is this boozy, leathery, spicy perfume that I wouldn't say it's great for... I wouldn't say it's great for cold weather because the performance is terrible. But if you don't mind just, like I said, spraying away, you'll enjoy this. Dark Rebel by John Varvatos. Okay, next on the list we have number 67. And this is a fresh tobacco. This is from 1991. And this is called Herrera for Men by the House of Carolina Herrera, of course. And this is very similar to Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, which also came out in the 90s, but this came first, believe it or not. Lavender with fresh tobacco, rosemary, neroli, which gives it this brightness, this citrusy brightness, geranium, amber, sandalwood, and tobacco. So beautiful, fresh tobacco. And if you like those 90s style fragrances where they were leaning towards the fresher end of things, check out Herrera for Men. No one talks about this. Apparently it's still being marketed by Puig, but rumor is it is not the same. So if you can find the, if you can find a vintage bottle, check it out. I think the older bottles came in a box that had red with like yellow polka dots all over them, whereas the newer bottles were brown with dots all over them. So I think that's how you can tell them apart, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, next on the list, we have another fresher tobacco take, if you will. And this is number 66. This is Tom Ford for Men. This is unfortunately even discontinued. The one that got Tom Ford going, I would love the extreme version. That is high on my list, but I can't find it. It's very hard to find, and when you do find it, people want bonker money. This is this citrusy, basil, gingery, peppery tobacco with grapefruit blossom, cedar, patchouli, vetiver, oak moss, leatherwood, and cypriol. One of the few fresh takes on like a tobacco cypriol, which is a combo I really like. It's very citrusy and very effervescent. You know, you could wear this. This is a summer wear for me. When I want to wear a tobacco fragrance in the summer, that's the kind of thing I reach for. Okay, next on the list, number 65, we have Xerjoff's Naxos. So I'll do a video on this soon. I've refrained from doing a video because I've kind of wanted the weather to cool off a bit. and it finally has. So I'll do one on Naxos soon. I'll force myself to. I've done a couple videos on Xerjoff where I just absolutely annihilate them. And so that won't be one, though. I do like Naxos. It is a perfume that I do like, although you'll find that Thierry Mugler's Pure Havane is much higher on the list. It gets props for being first, and I actually think I like it a little bit more. This is honey with cinnamon, tobacco, vanilla, and it adds this lavender aspect, which is missing from Pure Havane. So maybe this could be a little more wearable in different situations because of that lavender, but it is sweet. It's very, very sweet. So number 65 is Naxos. Number 64 is a Guerlain, and some people say they love this. Some people say they hate it. I love it. I think it does what it's supposed to do, and it does what it's supposed to do very well. This is Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Extrême. So this is the original release bottle. They've since kind of changed the label and cap color, but I think the juice is probably the same. And this is Thierry Vassar making a very good flanker of L'Homme Ideal, in my opinion. Is it sweet? Yes, but it's kind of meant to be sweet. It's this almondy, cinnamony, plummy, tobacco, leather, patchouli, cool weather fragrance that I think works very well. And if you're new to the fragrance game, before you jump into niche, before you start going crazy and buying, you know, these expensive niche or hard to find discontinued fragrances, you should try some of these designer line Guerlains. Try L'Homme Ideal, EDP, and the Extreme and stuff like that. Try the old Guerlains that you can find for 30, 40 bucks at discounters. Get yourself a bottle of Mitsuko or Shalimar or L'Air Bleu. Understand the history first. Then you can dive, you know, headfirst into the niche world. Okay, next on the list is number 63, and I remember that, you know, one of the very famous reviewers, I think it was Sebastian, did a tobacco list, and I think this was his number 1. This is number 63 for me. Granted, he did like a top 10 or something, but this is just too sweet to be any higher. To be fair, though, if you could just isolate the tobacco note and pick it out, it's a good tobacco note. They did a good job with it. It's just the sweetness, and I do like osmanthus too, and osmanthus is in here with tobacco and cinnamon and cypriol, so there's a lot of things to like, but there's also a lot of things not to like with the sweetness and designer-like feel. It's Herod by Parfums de Marly. And so Herod, like I said, Olivier Péchot created this. Believe it or not, it shows as number 6, top 6 in unisex perfumes on Parfumo. Crazy how popular this is still. And this is a decade old. But it does have that nice, easy to wear, tobacco-y, cinnamony, you know, warmth for winter. So I understand it. And I will still wear Herod. Some people kind of are shocked by that, but it's true. I will still wear Herod. Okay, number 62. And this is one that I got a chance to try the other day. Wore it to bed. Have not given it a full wear, though. And I really did like it. This is Rhinoceros from the House of Zoologists. Now, this is the 2020 version. There was also, I think, a 2014 or 16 or whenever it came out. I'd love to know what the differences are. I'd love to smell a vintage version of Rhinoceros. But I enjoyed this. It's this like smoky, leathery whiskey, coffee, rum, leather, tobacco, absolute, frankincense. There's Nagamata oil again, so it's cypriol, tobacco, which is a winning combo for me, and oud. So it's oud, patchouli, amber, oak moss, cypriol, tobacco, rum, whiskey, coffee. A lot of the stuff I like in one fragrance. And how about that guy looking like a general? I love it. This could be full bottle worthy, but I want the vintage juice. So if I ever find one, maybe I'll grab the vintage juice. But Rhinoceros comes in at number 62. Number 61 is a fragrance that I also admittedly have to admit I like, even though it is designery, even though it is sweet. Can you tell what it is? It is Victor and Rolf's Spice Bomb Extreme with the little crazy dangly thing right here. And Spice Bomb Extreme is lots of cinnamon, pepper, cumin, saffron with lots of vanilla and tobacco in the base. And it is sweet, yes. It is spicy, yes. It is tobacco-y, yes. And, you know, one fragrance I left off of the list because, well, I don't think I have a sample. Or if I do, I couldn't find it. But it's Bulgari Man in Black. I thought I had samples, but I couldn't tell where they are. But those two are very close to each other when I smell them. So since I already have a bottle of this, I mean, it's almost like, do I need Bulgari Man in Black? But I do hear that's getting harder to find. But that is one that's missing on the list. I'm sure you guys will find a bunch of stuff that's not on here. Like, Ramsey, you did a top 85, but you missed this, and this. So, yeah, go back and redo that. But, no, I did like Bulgari Men in Black, and who knows, maybe I'll pick up a bottle one day. Number 60. Number 60 is another decant, and this is a Julian Rasquinet creation. It's actually literally called Perfect Tobacco. However, I think it probably should have been called Perfect Oud, because it's kind of a perfect designer oud. It's oud with tobacco, ginger, cinnamon, rose, vanilla. And it is very loud. Some people compare this to 24 Elixir Gold or something. I don't think it smells anything like that. I have that fragrance and it's really bad. This is way better. And if you like Julian Rasquinet's work, though, I think you'll enjoy this. This is actually a really good fragrance. Full bottle worthy. I think you can find bottles at discounters for $100 or something. Very, very well worth it. Only fragrance from St. DuPont in my collection. So, Perfect Tobacco comes in at number 60. Number 59 is another decant. And it's actually, this was sent to me, I think Nissan sent these to me. I can't remember. So many people have sent me stuff. I apologize, but I'm very much looking forward to do a video on this one as well. It's from the house of Meleg, Matthew Meleg, and it's called Birch Tar and Russian Leather. And Birch Tar and Russian Leather came out in 2020, a couple years ago. And this is Birch Tar with Castoreum and vanilla and benzoin, cedarwood, Peru balsam. So it's birch and birch tar with tobacco absolute. And it is a take on a Russian leather. You know, if you like the smoky, resinous take on Russian leathers, I think you'd really enjoy this. So video coming soon, hopefully, on birch tar and Russian leather at number 59. Number 58 is a Guerlain. And we have, where is it? What did I do with it? Ah, here it is. We have Queer Entente. Now, this is another osmanthus tobacco like Herod. I like this better than Herod, though, because this does focus a little more on the leather. But when that tobacco note comes out, okay, and the tobacco note comes out in Queer Entente in the base, okay? So in the beginning, you're going to get nothing but leather. You're going to get osmanthus and leather. But once it dries, once you get into the base, you'll notice the beautiful tobacco. And I like this better than Herod for an osmanthus tobacco. But this does go much more in the leathery direction, whereas Herod goes more in the cinnamony, tobacco-y, sweeter direction. Okay, number 57 is another Bois 1920. And this is probably one of the most underrated patchouli fragrances out there. If you can find the Eau de Toilette, get it, okay? But this is called Real Patchouli. And the new Eau de Parfums are basically clear juice. Okay, so if you can find the vintage Eau de Toilette, that's what you want. But what a perfume this is, man. What a patchouli. I mean, the reason it's not higher, actually, is because the patchouli really dominates so much of the fragrance. It's really about patchouli, celery, Texas cedar. There is a eucalyptus note, but don't worry, it's not very prominent, but it's there. With frankincense, but it's the tobacco in the base. Tobacco, vanilla, labdanum, ambergris that really sets this apart. What a patchouli fragrance this is, though. And so, just like Vetiver Ambrato, vetiver and amber. This one has patchouli in the name instead of tobacco, but it has to be here because it's that good. Yeah, really, really good. Really underrated. This is a house very few people talk about, and it's worth talking about. It's very good. Okay, next on the list, we've got a Bortnikov. And this is a 2019 release, and he has another fragrance coming up much higher on the list, maybe even in the top 10. But this one is coming in at number 56, and this is called Oud Monarch. Okay, so here you go. Oud Monarch. And there's the note listing. And you can see the tobacco in the heart. And Oud Monarch is mostly a floral. The florals are very underrated in here by many people. Many people don't mention how prominent the florals are. Frangipani and Magnolia, and I talked about Frangipani yesterday in the early impression video I did on the House of Zoologists Civet. There's a very prominent Frangipani note in there too. But that's more of a chypre. This is more, you know, focused on that woody, spicy oud with cacao, chocolatey oud. There is still civet and castoreum in the base. There's a beautiful rosy cinnamon and tobacco in the heart notes. And it is, I mean, it is beautiful. This is one of my favorite chocolate ouds. The other one is this one right here. These are my two favorite chocolate oud fragrances of all time. Here you go. Russian oud and Oud Monarch. But this one has a tobacco note. I don't think this one does. This goes more ambery, though. The ambery dry down of this lava-like ambery dry down is stunning. I think probably Russian Adams is my favorite. But this is very, very good. And especially if you like well-done florals, man, the florals in Oud Monarch will knock you on your ass. It's very good. Okay, next on the list, we have number 55. And number 55 is a Stranger's Perfumery bottle. It's the only full bottle from Strangers I own, which is Prin Lomros's house, one of his houses. And this one's called Cigar Rum. So there is a fragrance that is in this same vein, if you will, that I think is done better later in the countdown. But I still like this. This is rum with raisins and prunes, dried cherry, tobacco, amber, oak wood, vetiver, resins, labdanum, and a twist. The twist on this is kelp. So it really gives you this not tropical, but sitting by the beach. You know, if you were sitting on a beach in Hawaii, right, smoking a cigar, drinking rum, and you wanted a fragrance to set the mood, this is one of them. There's another one coming up later I like even more, but this is very good. It is. And it's apparently the Art and Olfaction Awards finalist of 2018. I don't really give a shit about that. Someone asked me the other day, hey, do you just go around and sniff the Art and Olfaction Award finalists? And I was like, no, not really. It's not my thing. I mean, if I smell one, great, but I'm not going to go hunt them down. Because I've smelled some of the Art and Olfaction Award finalists that have been absolute shit before. So, okay, next on the list we have a Clive Christian. And this is the famous Ostrich Box, me lord. And this is at number 54. And this is C for men. So, if you like Tuscan leather, if you want to smell like Tuscan leather intense, check out C for Men. Look at the dent I've put in this. I do love this fragrance. It's one of the reasons I don't own a backup of Tuscan leather. Man, this is the kind of stuff I've been waiting to wear. Honestly, I should just wear it. I shouldn't wait for cold weather, but C for Men is Tuscan leather's raspberry, you know, leather. But here, it's mixed with oud and tobacco. There's no oud and tobacco in Tuscan leather, although Tuscan leather gives off more of this ashy, this dirty ashtray vibe, whereas this goes, there is still a, it's definitely going to remind you of Tuscan leather, but it doesn't go in the exact same direction. It goes in a little different direction. There's some things here that are not in Tuscan leather, like Elemi, and which is like this lemony frankincense with tea, mate tea, so there's tea in here, there's no tea in Tuscan leather, stuff like that. It's like Tuscan leather intense though. Even though there's oud, you can't really smell the oud. Okay, next on the list, we've got number 53, and we're back to the house of Serge Lutens, which will make many more appearances in this list. They do amazing tobacco, but this one's called Arabi. So 53 is Arabi because of the fact that it is the tobacco note, which is so beautiful in the base, is so overshadowed by this, you know, Christmas cakey, dates, cumin, clove. There's this candied, imagine candied, you know, you ever had Christmas cake that has those candies inside of it? That's the smell of this perfume. And it does dry beautifully though. You get the resins, you get the myrrh, you get the tobacco, but it's kind of hard to peer through and pull out the notes. Okay, next on the list we have an Amouage. And again, many Amouage on the list. This is number 52. And this is a fragrance I've given a hard time to, and it deserves it because I expected more. It's mostly the amber woods. There's this amber wood heart once you start getting from the heart to the dry down that really bothers me a little bit. Like, it smells kind of cheap, right? To me. But this is called Boundless. And there's, again, many more Amouage tobacco fragrances I like more than this. But this is still good. It's okay. It's not a bad perfume. I just hold Amouage to a higher standard. Look how much I love Imitation, man, right? The stuff that Christopher Chong did when he was there. And this is just, you know, it's not that it's subpar. It's just maybe subpar for Amouage, if that makes sense, okay? So it's not subpar scent-wise. It's subpar for Amouage. I expected more. That's why it's at number 52 and not any higher. There is a very good spicy opening. So you get like this blood orange with cardamom and elemi. And that cardamom spicy opening is beautiful. I mean, I will give them that. I think Sense of Woods Plum and Cognac is kind of a better take on this DNA, if you will. But there's no tobacco in Plum and Cognac, whereas here, there's no cognac. So maybe if you took the fragrances and blended them together, but Boundless comes in at number 51. Sorry, number 52. Number 51 is a Rogue Perfumery, and there's another Rogue in the top 3. I'll tell you that right now. One of my favorite tobacco notes of favorite tobacco fragrances of all time comes from this house. Almost made the number 1 spot, to be honest with you. But at number 51, this is called Dervish. And Dervish is a good perfume that has a problem for me. And that's that it opens up at 100 sweetness level. And then as the minutes tick by, the sweetness goes like this. Right? And once I get to about the 1.5 to 2 hour mark, I'm loving this fragrance. But I almost feel like I have to suffer a little bit to get there. Big saffron, big vanilla, big sweetness when you first spray. But the jasmine, and there is a beautiful indolic jasmine in this. It might put you off if you're not into white florals. But it is stunning, and it's mixed with animalic civet, leather, frankincense, and tobacco. And the tobacco in here is great. If you could just pick out, if I could have him recreate this and remove all the sweetness, this would be one of my favorite fragrances of all time. It's just so sweet, it's hard to wear for me. Okay, number 50 is a Valentino. And this is kind of a fresher tobacco as well. This is very Valentino for men. Mine is a Unilever distributor. But it's still a good fragrance. I mean, this was discontinued so long ago that if you can even find a bottle, go for it. But very Valentino is anise, coriander, nutmeg, sage, carnation, caraway, lavender, Brazilian rosewood, tobacco with amber, resins, musk, sandalwood, and cedar. And this does have this fresher, you know, the Italians like lots of zestiness. Yes, it's spicy and woody and all that stuff. But there's this Italian freshness to the fragrance. And I usually wear this type of fragrance in the warmer weather, believe it or not. All right, I'm going to get some hydration for my eyes at number 50. Bear with me. I've been hydrating my body with water, but my eyes need some hydration. We need an intermission at Channel Ramsey. Okay, there we go. All right. It's hard work talking for hours. All right, number 49. I need like some rich entrepreneur to put me on the payroll, so I can just do this for a job. You know, how great would that be? All right, number 49. We've got the House of Balenciaga, one of my favorite houses of all time. Shame all of my Balenciagas are basically discontinued. But this was made by the great Gerard Anthony, and this is Cristobal Porom. And this is hard to find now. If you can find a bottle, grab it. These 100 ml bottles are getting harder and harder to find. And they're also going up in price pretty fast. But this is number 49. This is a great winter scent, by the way. Beautiful coffee-tea combination when it opens up. Peppery with white pepper, nutmeg, coriander, geranium, sandalwood, amber, benzoin, tobacco, and vanilla. So the tobacco's in the base, but it really does have this. Someone told me this is close to Givenchy's pie. I've never smelled that, believe it or not. But I love this stuff. So if it's true, I don't need a bottle of pie because I've got this. Okay, one of my favorite fresh tobaccos of all time, number 48, we've got Creed's Tabarome Millésime. This is fresh tobacco done right. There's another fresh tobacco done right coming up later in the countdown too. But this came out in the year 2000. And this is basically this ginger sandalwood. You know that smooth, creamy Creed sandalwood, right? Ginger, sandalwood, and vetiver with a tobacco that is a little bit of a shapeshifter. So it starts off smelling very green, almost like you're smelling the tobacco while it's still growing in the soil, right? Green tobacco. But as it dries, it mixes with this tea note. And the tea note will remind you a little bit of Silver Mountain water. So there's this tea in the base that mixes with the tobacco and this very likable musk in the base, okay? This Creed likable musk, right? Very easy to wear. But if you want to wear a tobacco in the summer, let me tell you what, this is perfect for the summer. I love wearing this in the summer, and this is a 75 ml bottle. This is a 2013 batch. You guys know I don't buy my Creeds. Any of the 50 or 100 ml bottles, I'm out. I made that mistake once. I will not make it again. Okay, next we've got number 47, and this is, when I started the list, at number 85, we had 1812 Sweet Tobacco Spirits, and I said there's another perfume coming up that's even better as far as, you know, this port wine note, this wine mixed with tobacco and leather, and this is it. This is Burberry's London. And I love this scent. I'm a huge fan of this scent. I don't care that it's a designer. Antoine Maison-Dew created this, and there's just something that just screams the holidays about this. This is so comforting. Lavender, cinnamon leaf, black pepper, bergamot, leather, mimosa, port wine with oak bark, gaiac wood, a Papanax, and tobacco. Punches way above its weight class. I don't know about new versions. Both of mine, I have 2 bottles of this, and both of mine are older batches, older versions, but it's really good. Really, really good stuff. Okay, number 46 is another Parfum d'Empire, and they're also very well represented. There's one in the top 10 or 15, I think, on the list as well. And this is number 46. This is Fougère Bengal. Now, this is an amazing Fougère. There's a Fougère that is higher up on the list that also has an amazing tobacco note in it. But this is lavender with Assam tea, some animalic notes, probably a mixture of civet and, you know, something else. I don't know if it's Hyrax or what, but just animalic notes dosed extremely intelligently. The perfumer Marc-Antoine Corciatio loves using animalic notes, and he really does use them to perfection. And the genius of this is hay and tobacco, but with that fougere DNA. So you get the oak moss in the base, the patchouli, the tonka, which is so vital to a fougere, and vanilla. But that tobacco hay in the heart is, it's so good. Need to wear this soon. This is perfect for this time of year. All right, so that's Fougere Bengal coming in at number 46. Number 45 is a Guerlain, and it is a Guerlain that is probably the best tonka fragrance money can buy right now, in my opinion, that I've sniffed. And I've sniffed the real tonka bean. This represents it perfectly. It shows all aspects of tonka. This is Guerlain's Tonka Imperial, and one of my favorite bottles that they got rid of too. Look at how just classy this bottle looks, right? With the gold plate on the side, with the sun, the Guerlain logo. Just, I can't believe they got rid of this. Guerlain, you know, puts all of the beautiful touches on their bottle. And, you know, this is one that I almost made the mistake of selling very early on when I had it, and I'm glad I didn't. It is a sweet gourmand, but it really highlights the Guerlain DNA to perfection. You know, it's got almond, which I talked about, goes all the way back to Après-Landais. It's got tonka, of course, tobacco, rosemary, frankincense, cedar wood, and stone pine wood. And the tobacco note in this is very important, actually. But this does a better job of highlighting the tonka. There is a tonka fragrance that I put one notch higher than Tonka Imperial because I think this one does a better job of highlighting the tobacco. And it's number 44, and it's from the house of Robert Graham. And this is called Fortitude, the Ram. Look at that. This one's made for me. But this is, yeah, I mean, this is a simple fragrance. It's not very complex, but it does such a great job of highlighting the tobacco because it's tobacco absolute, patchouli, and tonka. And the tonka in here is beautiful. I think Tonka Imperial does a better job highlighting the tonka. This does a better job highlighting the tobacco. And that's why it's one step higher on the list. But it's a very good tonka. I'm basically holding two. These two are my two favorite tonka fragrances, okay? These are my two favorites. So, Robert Graham's Fortitude comes in at number 44. Number 43 is a new addition to my wardrobe, thanks to my good friend Al Manzano. He sent me this, very kind of him, because this is not cheap. This is a lady called Anna Zworinkina. Anna Zworinkina. And there's her little logo. Nice logo, beautiful. And the fragrance is called Cuir de Russie. And just this little bit right here is expensive. You know, this little tiny bit is very expensive. But I wore this to bed and I was really floored. There's beautiful smoky notes in this Cuir de Russie. There's tar-like, you know, resinous tar-like notes. There's oak moss, but there is a lovely tobacco note, stunning tobacco, mixed with things like labdanum and ambrad and castoreum and real ambergris and a little bit of rose, a little bit of orange blossom, a little bit of green touches with galbanum, but it's amazing. Cuir de Russie is, well, I love leathers in the first place, as you guys know, and this just, you know, takes it to another level. Good stuff. So happy to have that. Thank you, Al. Very kind of you, my friend. And then, speaking of fougères with a beautiful tobacco note, this is called Gucci Nobile, or Gucci Nobile. And so, Gucci Nobile is a unicorn right now. It's very hard to find. Full bottle like this would go for $800, $900 on eBay. It's tarragon, lavender, rosemary, cyclamen, carnation, geranium, rose, fir, amber moss, musk, patchouli, sandalwood, tonka, vetiver, cedar, and tobacco. And It is a classic fougere, one of the most classic fougères money can buy. It's right up there with the all-time great fougères. But, you know, like I said, these type of fougères with a tobacco accord are really beautiful. It really highlights not all fougères have that tobacco note in them. The ones that do, I really like. Okay. Next on the list, we've got, so that was number 42. Number 41 is a fragrance that no one talks about anymore. I think it's very underrated. It's the only fragrance from this house I have in my collection. It's from the house of Michael Kors. And this is called Michael for men. Now, this is confusing because this bottle has gone through many iterations, okay? So you might see the one like mine that just says Michael. That was the first version. You might see one that says Michael Kors right here going vertical. Sorry, going horizontal like my writing is. That was the second version. Those are the two versions you want. Either this one that just says Michael or the one that says Michael Kors. They did an entirely different fragrance in 2014. They reformulated it and they wrote it going vertical instead of horizontal on the bottle. So if you see one that says, you know, Michael Kors right here on the side, it's still a good fragrance. It's just different. It's not the same. It's not even the same fragrance, to be honest with you. But this has a beautiful anise, tarragon, two of my favorite opening notes in a masculine fragrance, with thyme and cardamom. So it's spicy, it's woody, it's got sandalwood in the base. And it's got a beautiful suede, you know, cool. Cool is the other side of the pillow, this suede is, you know, it's that kind of suede with pipe tobacco and dried fruits. So it's plum and dried fruits. But this fragrance is created by Harry Fremont of Firmenich, and he is an amazing perfumer. This does not get enough credit. It's a shame that it kind of got lost to the reformulation game and discontinuations and all this. But if you can find an older bottle, especially one that was under Michael Kors fragrances, you can see right here a division of Givenchy. Givenchy made these Michael Kors fragrances back in the day. This is great for cool weather. Stunning, stunning stuff. Okay, next we have number 40. And this is a little bit of a shocker. This is so high, but it's really, really good. I've worn it to bed a couple times. Haven't given it a full wear yet, but I will very soon. I'll talk about it on the channel. This is called Aaron Terence Hughes Tabak. Yes, an Aaron Terence Hughes fragrance this high. Just a good tobacco. What he did is he took that tobacco, and you get tobacco basically throughout the whole fragrance. You know, it's highlighted throughout the whole fragrance. And he mixed it with bourbon vanilla, damask rose, cedarwood, real ambergris, and in the base, Burmese oud, okay? And the oud really does blend with the tobacco beautifully. You know, I have to give it to him. It is a beautiful blend, and I like this. Would I buy a full bottle? No, but it is very good. Shockingly good. I'm not a fan of his content that he puts on YouTube. I just can't watch the, you know, he does the whole, you know, he like really gets into it and he's like dancing and moving and, you know, and I can't watch that. But as far as a creator of perfume, I'm impressed. I'll give him a fair shake. So that was number 40. Number 39 is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. It falls into that late 80s, early 90s genre I love so much. And this is the one that has tobacco in it. The others from this genre I talk about, like Escada Pour Homme, like, for example, Heritage by Guerlain, you know, those kind of perfumes, they don't have the tobacco. This one does. And it's YSL Jazz. And I love this. This could even be a signature scent for me. I mean, it is so good. It was just, I mean, late 80s, early 80s, late 80s, anytime in the 80s. My favorite decade. This has so much going on, so complex. It's got my favorite, one of my favorite opening notes of tarragon with classy lavender, high. It smells very high class. Sometimes lavender can come across smelling cheap, you know. It doesn't smell like that at all. With coriander, cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, anise, basil. So it's a little bit green, carnation, old school carnation, spicy carnation, geranium, which does give off a slight rose tint to the geranium here. Iris. I love iris in a perfume, and here it's used. It's hidden iris, you know. You don't smell it as much as you feel it, right? Jasmine, amber, oak moss, leather, musk, sandalwood, tonka bean, cedar, and the hidden note tobacco in the base. It's so good. So good. If you can find this vintage black and white piano keys bottle, get it. I've got 3 bottles now. I think I'm set. Okay, next on the list, we've got number 38. And this is a fragrance I will be talking about very soon on the channel. I'll do an early impression on it very soon. This is a 2017 release by my girl Liz Moore's put this out. This is a green Chypre. Just, you know, I did that Civet video yesterday and we talked a little bit about Chypres. I will do a This Is Not a Top 10 ranked Chypre video one day. You know, I don't think I've ranked the Chypres. So far, I've only ranked the frankincense or incense, the cheapy list, the leather, the amber, civet, and I did like a top 5 Hyrax. I didn't have very many Hyrax fragrances in the collection, but I'll rank the Chypres one day. This is one of the best modern Chypres I've ever smelled, along with Diaghilev and stuff like that. But if you like, you know, Val de Nuit, if you like number 19 by Chanel, I mean, look at the type of fragrances I'm comparing this to. You have to smell this. This is Papillion's Dryad. Amazing. Amazing perfume. It made my Narcissus video because it has both Narcissus and Jonquil, which are different types of daffodils. There's Civet. It's animalic. I love that. There's Civet and Castoreum, actually. Oh, God. Iris, apricot, citron fruit, which is in Imitation Man as well. And very underutilized opening notes, like this bitter, there's bitter orange and citron with star anise, thyme, tarragon, lavender, vetiver, styrax, ionone, Peru balsam, benzoin, labdanum, woodland, and tobacco. And the tobacco is beautiful in here. It just blends with that Chypre accord. I just love Chypres, you know. There's some categories that just speak to everyone, I think. Everyone has their own category that is for them. Chypres are mine, you know. Nothing like a good Chypre. There's nothing in perfumery that moves me and can tell a story the way a good Chypre does. Okay, so that was number 38. Number 37. I wore this the other day, and, you know, yes, to be fair, it is a little sweet, but God, I love this fragrance. There's just something about the way that you know, fizzy bergamot opening mixed with, that fizzy bergamot opening mixed with that boozy cognac and warmth of benzoin and, of course, the tobacco. It's a perfect winter fragrance for me. So classy. This is called Roja's Creation E Parfum Pour Homme. It's also known as Enigma in Europe, but in America it's Creation E because Enigma is copyrighted by someone else. But that, you know, spongy, Play-Doh-y heliotrope in here. Oh, it's so good. I wore it the other day and it really did work beautiful at work. So Roja's Creation E Parfum Pour Homme comes in at number 37. Also, the Parfum Cologne version of that is probably the only Parfum Cologne I would recommend. That they did do a good job with that one as well. Number 36 is a fragrance I have a review on, or at least an initial impression on my channel. You can go to the Orige L'Adore playlist and check it out. And this is called Civet de Nuit. So, Civet de Nuit was a collab with Russian Adam and Sultan Pasha, who actually also did Sacred Scarab for Zoologist, which I have a 10 ml decant. So I'm going to wear that very soon and talk about it. But Civet de Nuit is, it's an amazing fragrance. I mean, if you like stuff like L'air Bleu, okay? If you like that heliotrope, that purple heliotrope vibe, that floral, beautiful night blooming jasmine in here with the ylang ylang, old school creation. Feels very vintage. Feels like someone who really understands perfumery of the days gone by to create something like this, right? And Civet de Nuit uses real Mysore sandalwood, real white ambergris, castoreum, labdanum, styrax, oak moss, benzoin, frankincense, and of course, tobacco in the base. And what a tobacco, what a stunning fragrance it is, period. Aldehydic opening. You know, if you go in expecting to smell Kouros, you will be disappointed, okay? But if you go in with an open mind and just understand the beauty of this perfume, it will grow on you, and it will broaden your horizons as well. That's an amazing fragrance. I'd love a bottle of it, but I won't pay 400 bucks for it. But if I could find a partial or something, I'd love a partial. Okay, next on the list, we've got number 35. And number 35 is The Great Volutes by Diptyque. And I do love volutes. Probably the eau de parfum would be better for this to, you know, wear it in the dead of winter. But honestly, you could wear this all year round. The EDT is an all year round fragrance. Even though it has tobacco, it has this honeyed spices with iris and styrax. And the iris, again, is the secret ingredient here because it keeps everything so classy. This is such a classy scent. And I'm a big fan of volutes, but I'm a bigger fan of the fragrance that came before this that I think inspired volutes, and that's much higher on the list. Wow, we're already at an hour and 16 minutes, and we're only at 34. All right, let's pick this up. 34 is Memoir Man by Amouage, the only tester of Amouage that I own. The only tester. And, you know, there's not even a magnetic ring around the bottle I can put a cap on when I show you guys. So it stands out, you know. But it is made in Oman. And Memoir Man is, I think, one of the most underrated Amouages, you could say. This is Karine Vincent-Spanner when she was very young. In 2010, she created this, and what a creation she came up with. It's like this enchanted green forest, okay? That's the way I would describe it. Mint, tarragon, basil, absinthe, green, right? Alice in Wonderland, you just took acid and everything is green, okay? But then you get beautiful lavender absolute, beautiful frankincense, it's an Amouage, right? Beautiful rose, beautiful oak moss. It's part of the forest, so oak moss, amber, gaiac wood. But the leather and tobacco and vetiver in the base is just stunning, okay? So, Memoir Man. If you are interested in smelling true niche perfumery, Memoir. I'm telling you. Trust me. Number 33 is an Aramis, and they've got one in the top 5 as well. This is an amazing perfume as well. It's not my favorite because I like the other one better, but this is really good as well. This is Havana. And interestingly enough, I think I read a story that said that this was a perfume that actually lost the brief for, what was that popular Tommy Hilfiger fragrance that came out in the 90s? Tommy for Men. And if you smell Tommy for Men next to this, you will notice that they do have some similarities. Now, this is more mature. It doesn't have that, you know, youthful image that Tommy for Men gives, if memory serves. But the 1994 this came out, this could easily be an 84 release, you know, or end of the 80s. It has that feel. It has green notes, basil and tarragon and balsam firs and stuff like that. Fir, leather, oak bark, sandalwood, tonka, vetiver, vanilla, and of course tobacco. And it's beautiful. And this is a newer formulation, and I have no complaints with it at all. So, yes, I mean, I would say just get this. And if you can find it cheap, even better, because rumor is that Estee Lauder may be giving up on this gentleman's collection. Okay, next on the list, we have number 32. And when I rank my tea fragrances, this will be even higher. But it's basically a tea with tobacco and violet leaf. And this is called Gucci Pour Homme 2. Oh, how I love this fragrance. And the bottle is so classy. Violet leaf with bergamot, pimento, black tea, cinnamon, myrrh, olive wood, tobacco, and white musk. So wearable. Again, I usually wear this in warmer weather because of that tea note. This is not a cold weather fragrance for me. But, I mean, if you can find a bottle and you're not getting, you know, ripped off on the price, I'd say go for it. All right, so that was number 32. Number 31 is an Antonio Puig creation, and this is Quorum. Now, I had to decant this because it wouldn't spray. Sprayer was busted. Luckily, I was able to just basically slowly rip this off and decant it. But Quorum is one of the fragrances that everyone always talks about when they talk about 80s fragrances. You know, it's Antaeus, it's Bel Ami, it's Koros, and of course it's Quorum. And this is this green, dense Artemisia with, you know, spicy cumin, patchouli, sandalwood, but it's really about the oak moss in the base. Huge oak moss with leather and tobacco. And it really smells. Look at the color of the cap. Look at that weird off-brown maroon thing with gold. So 80s, green, right? That's what the fragrance smells like. It smells like that. So plaid couches. That's what I think of when I, you know, wear Quorum. I think of plaid couches and plaid blazers that the men used to wear and stuff like that. Okay, number 30. We're making headway, slowly but surely. This is Versace Man. Discontinued from 2003. Amazing. Just designer. This is what designers used to be. Neroli, bergamot from Calabria, angelica flowers, black pepper, saffron, cardamom, amber, living tobacco leaves. That's literally what it says right here. Living tobacco leaves with labdanum cysts, which does not sound sexy at all, but I'm sure it is, and cashmere woods. And what a masculine scent that is. Actually, anyone could wear that. I don't think it's masculine per se, but what a designer for men they put out in 2003. And that just goes to show how far we've fallen in the last 20 years or so. All right, number 29. Number 29 is a Lanvin fragrance, and this is called Avant Garde. And Avant Garde is, interestingly enough, a fragrance that used to be hyped by none other than Jeremy Fragrance. And, you know, he had some decent fragrances he hyped back in the day. He hyped Jacques Fat Pour L'Homme, which I really like, and he hyped this. And Avant Garde is created by Shayamala Masondu, who went on that trip with the guy who did the Ghost Perfumer book. What was his name? I'm drawing Gabe Oppenheim. Yes, she went on the trip with him to go see Pierre Bourdon. And she created this. So this is lavender, beeswax, juniper, pepper. So it's like this peppery, spicy, with amber, benzoin. There's a captive molecule called Georgie Woods, which is owned by Givaudan and has this intense, clean, woody smell with vetiver, cedar, and tobacco. And if you like stuff like Pure Havane by Thierry Mugler, which is coming up much higher on this list, check out Avant Garde. This is a good fragrance. Shame it's discontinued. Real shame. Okay, next on the list, we've got number 28, and this is a true unicorn, but a beautiful tobacco. It's basically a very simple fragrance, but back in the day, I mean, this just shows how they used to make them. So this is DK Men by Donna Karan. Again, the only Donna Karan that I have in my collection. The juice is about right here. I don't know if you can see it. I can see it from the light reflecting in. But Donna Karan, I do really, really like this fragrance. Crazy bottle. Apparently someone told me it was supposed to be like a gear shift or something. I always thought it was like some futuristic taser, but Donna Karan for Men is basically a citrusy, spicy tobacco suede. Those are the two main notes. Tobacco suede. So it's spicy and leathery. And there are touches of florals here and there. Okay, there's these creamy florals that kind of wisp in and out of the tobacco and suede, but it's basically a spicy, leathery tobacco suede fragrance. And it's so classy. I mean, so classy. This is, there's the bottom. Donna Karan DK Men. Good stuff. Cologne for cologne, that's it. I think that's a 75 ml bottle. And then, number 27, we've got a Chanel. And I do have a vintage bottle of this with the silver sprayer, but honestly, this is just as good. I mean, it's not as beast mode, but I love it just as much. This is Chanel's Egoiste. This is a newer bottle. And Egoiste 0601 is the batch code. But this is really, really good stuff. It's coriander, mahogany wood, mandarin orange, rosewood, carnation rose, cinnamon, amber, leather, of course sandalwood. This is known as one of the best sandalwood fragrances of all time for men. And tobacco and vanilla in the base. And it is something special, man. Even that modern formulation is something special. I love it. Okay, next on the list, we've got a Guerlain. And I think this is the highest Guerlain ranked on this list. And it's at number 26. And it is Guerlain Vetiver. So, yes, named Vetiver, but it has an amazing, amazing tobacco note. In fact, if you told me this was the best tobacco note I've ever smelled, I wouldn't argue with you. I really think this could be number one. But there are some tobacco fragrances I just enjoy wearing more. But if you said, Ramsey, technically what is the best tobacco? I mean, it very well could be Vetiver. It very well could be. So, this is orange bergamot lemon with nutmeg, pepper, vetiver, tonka bean, and tobacco. But the tobacco in the notes in the base smells so natural, so natural. I am going to put a lozenge in my mouth. Bear with me. My throat's hurting from talking. We've got some sort of elderberry lozenge here. All right, let's get back to it. Number 25, we've got another Amouage. Amouage litters this list. They do some amazing tobacco. I mean, they do. But this is Journeyman in one of the most beautiful bottles with the gold dripping down the side. They used to write the names on the side of the bottle. Now they write them right here down below. That's one way to tell age. They also don't write them right here any longer. So the new bottles are blank right here on the collar. But, oh God, I love Amouage. I just love the house. They're one of my favorite houses of all time. I think Guerlain's my favorite. I think Amouage is probably number 2. But this is this Sichuan pepper, neroli, cardamom, frankincense, tobacco, of course it's frankincense, with tonka, cypriol, leather, and ambroxan in the base. And this is a duo, Pierre Negrin and Alberto Morillas. And it is so classy. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Journeyman. And this one of my favorite cypriol fragrances of all time as well. All right, number 24. Number 24 is one of the greatest 80s fragrances of all time. This is Lapidus Pour Homme. What a monster this is. What an absolute beast Lapidus Pour Homme is. I mean, maybe one of the most, maybe one of the kind of like throw the kitchen sink at it. It has everything in it. It has everything you could imagine. It's green. It has a pineapple note. Aventus Eat Your Heart Out from '87. It's got one of the best honey notes you'll ever smell. Although there's a honey tobacco that's very close to the top on the list that I like even more than this. I mean, rosewood, rose, orris root, jasmine, amber, patchouli, tonka, sandalwood, tobacco, cedar. I mean, it has everything. Musk. Doesn't seem like it would work. It does, I'm telling you. Lapidus pour homme. And this is a modern bottle. I have vintages too, but the modern, I'm telling you, is just as good. I mean, the vintages are a little different. I did a comparison video, I think. You can go check that out. But the modern is very good. Number 23 is the fragrance that caused me so much heartache. I wish I could find a vintage bottle of this one day. I probably never will. But it's Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. And I actually really do like this fragrance. Tobacco Vanille, it is sweet, yes. And you can see I have a decent amount of juice left too. Yes, it's sweet. But I love the fragrance. I just love the smell. That tobacco, vanilla, dried fruits, cacao with resins, and this freshness of ginger. It's really good. I'm a big fan of that. And Olivier Guillotine created that in 2007. All right, number 22. And this is one of the greatest fresh tobaccos in the history of fresh tobaccos. This is Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. And you talk about suede. You talk about smooth. Look at that. Smooth as the other side of the pillow. Cool as the other side of the pillow. Absolutely beautiful. And if you can get the bottle with the crappy sticker that always falls off, that's the one you want. The one that says Made in Italy. Made in Italy, that's what you want. It's so good. I mean, it's citrusy, it's spicy, it has pepper and sage, and classy masculine lavender, cardamom, tarragon, iris. It's that, I'm telling you, it's the iris sandalwood. I say the same thing about leather. It's the iris leather that gets me every time. It's the iris sandalwood. And tobacco. Iris and tobacco, man. Tonka and cedar. What a fragrance this is. This is so classy. So classy. Great summer tobacco wear for me. And then we've got number 21, and it's a Nichane. Excuse me. And this is the improved version of cigar rum for me. This is Fan Your Flames. And there's just something about this that I just love. I mean, it is what it is. I understand the hate that this gets. I get it. You know, it does have this woody, spicy sweetness to it, but there is a legitimate coconut note in the top, okay? So it's very tropical. If you were sitting on a beach in Hawaii, you know, having a rum, smoking a cigar, there's no better fragrance than Fan Your Flames. Maybe like a cooler summer night, this would be perfect. I just love it. I just love it. Can't wait to wear that again very soon. Fan Your Flames, man. I think the original came in like this crappy black cap, like just a plain old black cap. And then they upgraded it to this one, which I do like the cap, I must admit. And it is heavy. It's got some weight to it. So, Fan Your Flames. It will hold the bottle too, just barely. It feels like it's going to fall off, but it doesn't. So, good stuff. Good stuff by Nichane's. One of the best. One of Nichane's best. Oak moss and tobacco, coconut, rum, tonka, Chinese cedar. Amazing. Amazing fragrance. I need to wear this soon. And then we've got number 20. Number 20. All right, we're making headway. Number 20 is a Gucci. One of my favorite Guccis of all time. This is Gucci Envy for men. And this is the Scannin version. And Gucci Envy for Men. I mean, wow, what can I say about Gucci Envy for Men? It has this freshness of ginger. It's like ginger with pepper, rosewood. There's a little bit of a floral touch going on in the heart. Carnation, jasmine, and rose. But it dries to this leathery patchouli, vanilla, vetiver with a touch of tobacco. And the tobacco is so perfectly placed, so classy. You know, this is such a classy fragrance. And I can't believe this was a designer. I just cannot believe that this was a designer back in the day. This is more complex, better quality than, you know, most of the niche stuff that's being put out nowadays. It just is. It's so good. All right, number 19. Speaking of celebratory fragrances, I know I mentioned Fan Your Flames is great for sitting on a beach. This is the fragrance you wear when you sign the big deal, okay? You close the deal, you want to go celebrate, and you're a man, okay? And you go to a gentleman's club, and you have an amazing steak, and you smoke a cigar, you have a brandy. This is the fragrance. Javois Les Jus Sans Fates. Look at the color of that juice, man. One of the best Javois. Maybe the best Javois. I don't know. I'd have to think about that long and hard. But, you know, because there's Incident Diplomatique, there's Private Label, there's Psychedelique. Oh, God. But Les Jus Sans Fates is... it might be in a league of its own. It has this amazing, liqueur note to it. So there's English gin and there's rum. Okay, so there's gin and rum. So speaking of celebratory, right? You're switching liquors now. And it's got angelica flower. I love angelica. It's got dried fruits. And the dried fruits in here are perfect. Just like the dried fruits in Tobacco Vanille are perfect, the dried fruits in here are perfect. And it's got tobacco and cumin. So there is a little bit of a challenging aspect with the cumin. But it dries down to this very likable, resinous-y labdanum with patchouli and touches of vanilla. But it's never too sweet. It stays challenging throughout the fragrance. That cumin, you know, keeps it interesting to my nose. And I just love it. I love the tobacco in it. I love everything about it. Amazing perfume. All right, so that was number 19. Number 18 is the big dog. The one that is officially discontinued, but if you can find a Thierry Mugler version, I would highly recommend it. This is Pure Havane. I mean, yes, it's sweet. Yes, it is. It's sweet. But sometimes I like sweet when it's mixed with tobacco. There's this honeyed cherry tobacco vibe to this. Almost like a pouch tobacco, you know. Like someone just took a pouch of tobacco, cherry tobacco, stuck it in their pipe, you know. And there's cacao, there's patchouli. It's got that Amen patchouli that you know so well if you know Amen. Ambergris, labdanum, and styrax in the base. And if you can get the version that says Thierry Mugler right here instead of just Mugler, that's what you want. This stuff is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it, especially in the cooler weather. Works perfect. 17 is Amouage's Royal Tobacco. And I'm not going to buy a bottle of this, but it is a very good tobacco. I have a review of it. You can go check it out. It's a good tobacco. It is. The story's good. The scent is good. The way it smells. There's a beautiful tobacco absolute and licorice. It kind of reminds me of if Yoji Homme from 1999 had tobacco in it. It doesn't, but if it did have tobacco in it, that's what it would remind me of. That's what Royal Tobacco would remind me of. There's osmanthus, there's licorice root, there's myrrh, there's balsams, there's Peru balsam, birch tar, you know, there's some Assam oud in the base. So it is a complex scent, but tobacco is the focus. And that's what I thought I was getting in Boundless, but I didn't get that in Boundless. If I could switch this, Boundless for this, I would. But I don't sell my fragrances, so, you know, who knows? Maybe Amouage will send me a free bottle one day. They send everyone else bottles now. They didn't used to. But the reason I will never buy a bottle of Royal Tobacco is because I think this is a better fragrance, and I already have a bottle thanks to the kindness of one of you. Someone sent me this very kindly. Now, I did buy a bottle off of them, but they said, hey, I'm sending you this too, which they did not have to do. And I ended up loving it and actually set off a love affair with the House of Beaufort, London. And this is called Iron Duke. And the tape he put on there kind of ripped some of the black off the bottle. It was all black. But it's an amazing fragrance. It is challenging. But it does have a little bit of this Royal Tobacco vibe. But lots of leather, spices, tobacco, oud, liqueur, star anise, metallic notes, leather, animalic notes. There's this burning charred wood accord with gunpowder. Yes, gunpowder. Hay, which also kind of feels tobacco-y. That's why this feels like you're getting tobacco all throughout the fragrance, but it's really tobacco with hay and musk and bourbon whiskey in the base. It really feels like you're in a World War II tank, honestly. It feels like you're at the Battle of Kursk or something. It's absolutely amazing. Iron Duke is a stunner. And the reason I'll never buy a bottle of Royal Tobacco. And then we've got number 15. Let's see if we can do this in 2 hours. Number 15 is Ensar Oud's Tiger Lust. My God. This is full bottle worthy. I just will not give Ensar Oud the money that he wants. Period. I just won't do it. Simply out of principle, you know. But Tiger Lust is one of the best oud, tobacco, ambergris, castoreum, civet, animalic fragrances I think I've ever smelled. Honestly. It is, and it does have coffee blossoms too. Indonesian oud, black currant. It's a little bit fruity. You know, it's this fruity black currant that mixes with the tobacco. Timor sandalwood. I'm in love with this stuff. I mean, if bottles weren't $1,000 and they're literally $1,000 for 50 ml or whatever it is, I'd buy a bottle. And then we've got number 14, which is a fragrance I actually have a backup bottle of. I love this fragrance so much. This is Trussardi's Inside for Men. Look at the inside of that bottle with that crocodile-like leather. It opens up with this fresh Japanese yuzu note, which was popularized by Issey Miyake, I think. And green basil. But when you first spray, it really feels like you're smelling something like fresh Italian-style espresso, okay? Unsweet, just the espresso. No milk, no sugar. Unsweet coffee and tobacco. Smoky cigarette tobacco. God. I love this stuff. I mean, I've got, like I said, I've got 2 bottles of it. They're both testers. Neither of them have caps. I don't care because I want the juice. Sometimes you got to sacrifice a cap for the juice. Trussardi Inside comes in at number 14. Number 13, back-to-back Serge Lutens, okay? Number 13 is the Great Chergui. Now, Chergui, to be fair to Chergui, okay, this could be one of the greatest tobacco fragrances of all time. If you told me Chergui is number 1 on your list, I don't think I could argue with you, okay? It's that good. And basically what it has going for it is it has this amazing note of hay, okay? So there's hay and tobacco. And remember I said with Tobacco Rose, Liz Moore's used hay instead of tobacco. So it can go both ways, okay? Hay can give you a tobacco feel. Tobacco feel can sometimes have this dry, hay-like aspect to it. The genius of this is there's this wispy incense in the background, way in the back, okay? With the tobacco and the hay and the iris in the front. Again, it's a tobacco iris with rose and amber honey and musk, and that honey is a main accord here. The honey is right there with the tobacco. It's this honeyed warmth, you know, resinous, slightly sweet, but never overdone, and sandalwood in the base. Classy sandalwood. Christopher Sheldrake, masterpiece, okay? Christopher Sheldrake, one of the best perfumers of all time. And then, in 2003, so Shergi came out in 2001. In 2003, he released another tobacco masterpiece, and one that I am still hunting a vintage bottle to this day. I can't find it. I also can't find Queer Moresque. If anyone knows where I can get a vintage bottle of Fumerie Turk and Queer Moresque, let me know. But Fumerie Turk is the other tobacco scent, and it comes in at number 12. And I would love a vintage bottle of this stuff. Guys, so good. This is so good. I think this is probably on a just pure tobacco basis. Maybe not on the fragrance overall, but if you just took that tobacco note with resins, okay, the tobacco and the resins and the leather, I think it's a better fragrance than Shergi. It's Fumerie Turk. It has this, you know, styrax that almost feels like you can spread it like, you know, like cream cheese, right? It's got this, you know, waxy, spreadable styrax with white honey and beeswax, resins and leather, and this candied rose that is just a master stroke. I mean, Christopher Sheldrake, he was on top of the mountain when he created these two fragrances, 2001 and 2003. What creations. So Fumerie Turk is number 12. Number 11 is a fragrance that is, it's a fragrance that is extremely underrated, okay? It gets love, and yet the prices never seem to really go up. They never seem to go up like vintage Antaeus, vintage Koros, right? But it's playing in that space, you know, it's that good. It's from the house of Rocco Barocco, or some say Rocco Barocco. This is Joint Pour Homme. And Joint Pour Homme is this animalic, green, honeyed, tobacco with basil and orris and rose, spicy carnation, vetiver, labdanum, patchouli, but it's this leathery civet in the base that makes it. And it came out in 93. Some people compare it to Furio. I don't really get the comparison to Furio other than the fact they both have red bottles, you know. Joint Pour Homme. If you can find it, get it. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Trust my nose here. Joint Pour Homme is amazing. Okay, next on the list, we've got number 10. All right, top 10. Here we go. Number 10 is a Parfum d'Empire, and it is Tabac Tabou. And you can see my bottle actually says 2017 version, but I know this could be just me oohing and awing for the last 10 here, but Tabac Tabou is a spicy floral with Immortelle, the curry plant, with honey, wild grass. So remember, I said hay is in the tobacco category, right? This is tobacco and wild grass with this sensual skin accord. Is literally, that's listed. Sensual skin accord. And it is very, very good. This Immortelle tobacco, it just fits perfect. You know, what a fragrance. Tabac Tabou, number 10. Number 9. Number 9 is a Tom Ford. And you probably know what it is. This is a discontinued Tom Ford, believe it or not. Shockingly discontinued. It is the Great Tobacco Oud. And, I mean, it's not complex. It's tobacco, oud, sandalwood, and patchouli with a slight hint of whiskey, okay? That's the fragrance. But There's something about the vibe that it gives off, the smell, the aura. And some people say it gives you Amber Absolute vibes. I've never smelled Amber Absolute, so I don't know, but I could see that. I could see Amber Absolute smelling somewhat like this. Okay. This is a decant, and the highest decant on the list, okay? Number 8, and it's a Bortnikov, and it's called Tabac Doré. I did a video on this. You can go check it out. My God, I need to wear this again soon. I need to wear this. Tabac Doré is one of the best out-and-out tobacco absolutes I've ever smelled. It's so deep. You can smell everything in this tobacco absolute. You know, it smells woody. It smells smoky. It smells fruity. There are floral aspects to this tobacco. It just, you know, so many different aspects. It's such a good fragrance. Full bottle worthy. Yes, absolutely. There's also an ambrette in here that's lovely. There's a fig note, which just plays off of the tobacco beautifully. Benzoin, cinnamon, cedar, labdanum, sandalwood, tolu balsam, peru balsam, Thai oud, and Vietnamese oud. So the oud and the tobaccos are, you know, out of this world. It's one of the best tobacco fragrances that I have had the pleasure of sniffing, that I do not actually have in the collection. Just an out-and-out, you know, reference tobacco. And then, a tobacco that took my heart so much I had to buy a bottle this year, because I sampled this. Someone sent me a sample, and then I just had to go buy a bottle. It's called Andy Towers Sundowner. Look at this portion of the orange and red hues. That's what you get from Sundowner. It is... oh, it's so good. It's such a good tobacco. It's got that Andy Tower ambergris, you know, Towerade that he created with Tobacco Absolute and Cypriol. And apparently that's a winning combination I love. With lots of cinnamon and cacao. So it's kind of chocolatey, tobacco, patchouli, vanilla. Just a great wear. Okay. The next one might shock some people. Excuse me. Because I haven't talked about it on the channel very much, but I need to give it a full wear soon. I've worn it to bed multiple times now, and every time I'm stunned by this fragrance. Stunned. I mean, backup bottle worthy stunned, okay? This is from the house of MCM, and it's called Success. And this is success, man. This is success in a bottle. This is, my God. If you like Lapidus Pour Homme, if you like Hugo Boss No. 1, which is coming up very soon, just buy this. Don't even think about it. Just go buy it. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you. It's discontinued. Fuck. That honeyed tobacco in the opening dries down to this irisy patchouli heart, which dries down to this honeyed leather with loads of oak moss in the base. Spicy, resinous. It's similar to a fragrance, apparently, that I have a decant of that I'll talk about very soon called Gatsby by Paco. That came out in '87. That's discontinued. And this one, Success, came out in '86. So this came out a year earlier than Gatsby. This probably influenced Gatsby. But MCM Success is amazing. 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 Number 5. Number 5 is one of the greatest perfumes ever created. One of the best fragrances of the 70s. And it's called Lagerfeld Classic. Or Lagerfeld Cologne, the vintage. The current stuff is called Lagerfeld Classic. You want the one that says Lagerfeld Cologne, though. Okay? That's the one that you want. Look at the font. That's what you want. Amazing stuff. Stunning. Stunningly good. Oh, this powdery, ambery orange is like a line of orange running right through the middle of this with orris root. That orris root is very powdery. But the reason that you want the cologne version, and Karl Lagerfeld designed this bottle idea. I love it. What a legend he was. Rest in peace, Karl. Is the base has much more oak moss, much more tobacco. The tobacco and the oak moss in this is more. The tobacco and the oak moss in the new version is much less, basically nothing. And rumor is this is discontinued in any formula, okay? So if you can find it, get it. Even the new one's good, but it's much less masculine. It's much less tobacco and oak moss, okay? The old stuff is where it's at. It really feels like a 70s, 80s fragrance in the old days. And for winter, it doesn't get much better than this. I'm telling you, this is one of the best fragrances in my collection. The best. The best. So I'm ranking tobaccos, not my favorite fragrances to wear, or else the top 5 wouldn't be in this order. It would be a little bit different. But I'm ranking tobaccos. Remember, number 4 is a fragrance that just came out a couple years ago, but it's one of my favorite tobacco fragrances of all time. And I hear it's discontinued. So if you want a bottle, get it now. It's called Aramis Tobacco Reserve by Estee Lauder. This little thing, okay, yes, the bottle is plain. You know, it's not flashy. You know, it doesn't have crystals on the cap or, you know, gold writing on the side of the bottle. Or, okay, fine, I get it. I get it. But, the tobacco leaf, there's this fruity blackcurrant that mixes with the tobacco leaf. Sweaty clary sage that keeps it kind of masculine, you know. Spicy nutmeg that just keeps everything in the box, you know. Nutmeg kind of acts like a sheepdog. It keeps all the animals in the pen, right? All the fragrance molecules in its spot. It ties everything together. And iris. And the iris and the tonka here are out of this world. The tobacco, it is sweet, and I love it. I don't even care. You know, sometimes you need some sweetness with tobacco. The tonka sweetens this up very nicely. Beautiful tobacco. One of the best, honestly. That's why it's number 4. Number 3, this could have been number 1, honestly. This was number 1, and then I thought, that's not right. I need to put it here. I need to put it at 3. But this is one of my favorite tobacco fragrances of all time, and it's a Rogue Perfumery. It's spicy, woody, and green. Okay, it's a very green tobacco, and it's called Tabak Vert. Man, Tabak Vert. Oh my God. Maybe this should have been number 1. Seriously. The tobacco note with the, there's this musky base, and there's huge amounts of oak moss in this. The oak moss feels so green and textured and thick. You know, like you're just rubbing your hands on moss on the side of an oak tree. You're just rubbing your hands on it, and you're feeling the texture. And you get this big green, you know, big green feeling, just the Hulk, you know, big green Hulk standing there. And the tobacco is completely dry. It's completely dry, and yet it's completely green. There's not an ounce of sweetness in this fragrance. Not a drop of sweetness. It is negative sweetness, okay? And I absolutely love it. I think this is, I mean, it's one of the best tobaccos in my collection, 100%. But if you want to go against the grain, if you want to wear something that, you know, our grandfathers would have worn, this is it. Number 2. I just got this bottle, but I have 2 other backup bottles. But there was 10 of them on eBay. They were 125 ml splash bottles for $38. Armando let me know about it. One of my subscribers told me he found it and got the very last bottle. And this is Hugo Boss number 1. Boss number 1. In the splash. In the splash formula. I mean, pissy honey, Pissy honey with lavender, orris root, oak moss, tobacco. I mean, my favorite honey tobacco. I mean, it just is. I can't say anything else about it. It's just my favorite. I mean, everyone has their favorite. This is my favorite. And I remember telling Rich Mitch about this, and when I heard that he did not have Boss No. 1, I was like, dude, stop everything you're doing right this second. Go buy Boss No. 1. I'm telling you, just go buy it. And I think Amouage I had already had one bottle, and I got a bottle from Amouage, and he got like 2 or 3. And I'm so glad I was able to get those bottles from Amouage. It's so good, though. I'm telling you. I mean, this is what a man should smell like to me, honestly. This is what I imagine a proper, professional man should smell like. There's intrigue here. There's some mystery. And yet there's something so... I don't know what the word is. There's something authoritative in this fragrance. This is what a man should smell like. This is what a man who pays the bills on time, you know, who stays loyal to his family, who feeds and clothes and pays the bills and does all of the stuff that a father figure should do from back in the day, before all the, you know, before it got popular for... you know, for there to be more than one person in the household working, okay? Let's put it that way. From back in the day. And I love that. I love that about this fragrance. So number 1, you know, you may argue with me about this because this is not really just a tobacco scent. Tobacco is one piece of the pie. But, again, what a man should smell like right here, to me. And, tobacco just is done so perfectly here, it has to be here. When I think of the quintessential tobacco scent, and yes, it's mixed with pine, okay? It is mixed with pine, and it is mixed with leather, okay? But the tobacco in the base is so perfect. The oak moss in the base with the tobacco, so perfect. This is Polo Green from 1978. Carlos Benaim's masterpiece. This is a Warner bottle, which came out before Cosmere. If you take a look, it says Cologne Spray Warner. Warner, Warner/Lauren Limited is what it says. But, I mean, tobacco is the key to this because, let me show you something. Polo actually has a scent that they put out in the 90s and early 90s, and they called it Polo Crest. And I wore this recently and talked about it. It's very similar to Polo Green, but you know what it's missing? It's missing the tobacco, okay? What a huge difference it makes. I mean, the tobacco makes the scent, and I think it's the best use of tobacco I've ever smelled. That's why it's here at number 1. Although any of my top 5 could probably kind of mix around here. Maybe even the top 10, depending on mood. But today, this is my number 1. So, over 2 hours. You know, it's a reference video. I had to do it. Thank you to everyone who watches. You know, put me on 1.5 or 1.75 speed and just let me go. You'll finish it in half the time. And so, appreciate the feedback. Let me know what your favorite tobaccos are. I'm sure there's going to be a laundry list of tobaccos I've never sniffed that, you know, you guys are like, you got to try this. It's the best tobacco ever. Just leave it in the comments. I'm always interested in learning more. That's what I love about this hobby. There's so much out there. I mean, we are just blessed with perfume. Perfume is just, you know, raining from the sky. We are just living in a time of so much abundance of perfume for us to sniff. So if there's some tobacco scents you guys like, do let me know if I haven't talked about them today. This is a pretty comprehensive list. I may have left out a couple here or there, but this is pretty comprehensive. So appreciate everyone watching, guys. Cheers, and I hope to see you again tomorrow with another video. Bye, guys.